everyone, welcome back to Actual English. I'm Jennifer Clyde. It's time for lesson 332 and today's topic is relationships 2. Let's focus on youth dating. Okay, dating when we were a lot younger, or perhaps you're in your teens right now. Well, let's talk about youth dating. Dating in your teens, early 20s maybe, or younger than that. How much did you know about girls and guys, about reproduction? Did you have sex education in school? Did you have teachers or classes that you could take to learn all about sexual intercourse and reproduction, even about STDs, for example? A lot of Western schools make it a rule to have these classes. So students as young as middle school students to high school students take these classes. It's mandatory. It's required to learn. But I don't think it's very common in Korea. So, it's not very easy. Anyhow, let's talk about youth dating, falling in love, having a crush on someone when you were a teenager. Okay, here we go.
I was just home for the holiday, and I saw my younger cousins growing up. They're about 15 to 18, 14, and the topic of dating came up.
Ooh.
How old were you when you started dating?
I'd have to go back through the old noodle for that one. I think it was about 14, 15 when you can say that I first started dating kind of semi-seriously.
Right, a little casual.
Yeah, when you're younger than that, you have what you class as boyfriends and girlfriends that you would look across the room, science class, and pass notes to each other.
Yeah.
But in terms of like actually going out together and doing things, I was like 14, 15 years old, which I think is quite different here in Korea.
Yeah, I have a niece who's about 14 or 15, and her father passed away when she was young. So my husband's kind of filled this father role for her.
Okay.
So I'm constantly kind of pushing him to talk to her about dating and, give her some guidance. And I don't even think it's on her radar yet.
No, I think in Korea that aspect of things is a lot different. Like they don't think about the birds and the bees as being something serious within middle school, possibly even high school, until they really start getting it on their radar. Obviously, certain areas of the country might be different as well. Like in the city centre, it's always about education and stuff like that. So they don't think about the other aspects of society life.
Yeah. I mean, I look at some of these middle school and high school students, and they're studying so hard, they're working so hard. How would it even be possible to think about having a boyfriend or girlfriend?
There is no time for anything else like that, which I suppose is a good side of things, really.
Yeah, positives and negatives.
Of course.
That was Miriam Martin helping us out with today's actual talk conversation. So they were talking about youth dating, and they began by talking about going home to see cousins growing up, and them talking about dating and asking questions about dating. Let's take a look. Here we go. Mary says, I was just home for the holiday. Now, in this part of the sentence, the beginning of the sentence, we see that she went home for the holiday. Okay, she went to visit her family back home, meaning in her home country. But just because this word was added, we can instantly tell that it happened quite recently. I was just home. I was just home, meaning recently. Okay, I was recently home for the holiday, and I saw my younger cousins growing up. They're about 15 to 18. 14, and the topic of dating came up. Okay, so she's not quite sure exactly how old her cousins are, but she says they are 15 to 18, somewhere in between, maybe 14. And she says the topic of dating came up. If something comes up, okay, it could happen unexpectedly, appear unexpectedly. But if you say that a certain topic came up, like dating, you're saying that the topic was brought up. It was discussed. Somebody mentioned dating. as a topic. So they talked about dating. How old were you when you started dating? So she asked this question to Martin. The point is, how old was Martin when he started dating? He says, I would have to go back through the old noodle for that one. Okay, I'd have to go back through the old noodle for that one. That one meaning that question, okay? Now, what does this idiomatic expression mean? This expression is a bit old. It's a bit old-fashioned. I don't think you will hear it that often, but, just keep in mind. The old noodle. Do the old noodle, for example, or use the old noodle. It basically means to use your head, okay? To use your head. Use your noodle, use your head. I was thinking about the origin of this expression, but I instantly thought, okay, noodle. Why is it noodles? And we're talking about thinking. Maybe it's because your brain looks like a bunch of noodles all clustered together. Maybe that's why. Okay, so that's right. Our brain, if you take a look at it, it's curly, it's all, clustered together. It looks like a whole bunch of noodles together, right? Anyhow, this means to think, use your head. So he's saying, I would have to go back through the old noodle for that one. I would have to think very hard to answer that question. I think I was about 14. So he was about 14. 15, okay? When you can say that I first started dating. First started dating, okay? Kind of semi-seriously. Now, we often say that we are in a serious relationship, okay? You can also say it's a casual relationship. If you say that the relationship is casual, you're saying it's more like a friendship. Okay, a very friendly relationship. You're not really in love with each other, but it's more about just being close friends and good friends, maybe. But if you say that you are in a serious relationship, you are saying that you are considering, say for example, marriage. You have feelings for each other. You really, really care for one another. So that would be a serious relationship. Often when you're young, you're not really in a serious relationship because you're not thinking about marriage, having children, having to meet the parents, but it's more of a casual relationship. So he says, kind of semi-seriously. He was dating semi-seriously, kind of seriously, okay? Right, a little casual, here we go. And that's what Mary says. Semi-seriously, yeah, a little casual. Yeah, when you're younger than that, you have what you would class as boyfriends and girlfriends. Class here. In this sentence, it was used as a verb, not a noun. Of course, you can go to class, you can go to school and take classes. In that case, a class would be a noun, but here it's used as a verb. It means to categorize, to classify, okay, to put into a certain group, okay? So he's saying when you're younger than that, you have to class, or you have what you would class as boyfriends and girlfriends. We have the boyfriends category, the girlfriends group. You would look across the room at your friend in science class and pass notes to each other, okay? What is a note? N-O-T-E. A note is like a very short and simple message, a written message. So do you remember exchanging notes with your boyfriend or your girlfriend? Even, your closest friends, best friend in class, you would pass around notes in class. So that's what he's talking about. At that age, you have what we call boyfriends and girlfriends, and you would look across the classroom and send each other notes. That's exactly what he's saying. But in terms of actually going out together and doing things, I was like 14 or 15 years old, which I think is quite different here in Korea. So he's saying it's different, okay? Different in Korea, but what is different? Okay, he says going out together and doing things. Going out can have several definitions, okay? To go out, with somebody could mean to really go outside, to go somewhere physically with somebody. But it can also mean to date somebody. It's used in a very casual, informal way. Hey, who are you going out with? Are you going out with anybody? It means, are you dating anybody? Who are you dating? Who's your girlfriend? Who's your boyfriend? Are you going out with him? Are you dating him? Is what I mean. So he's saying, actually going out together, being boyfriend and girlfriend and doing things together, yeah, it was when he was 14 or 15. And Mary says, yes, I have a niece who is about 14 or 15, and her father passed away when she was young. So she lost her father at a young age. Her father passed away. This is just a polite or formal way of saying to die, okay? It sounds, I don't know, too rough and rude maybe to say her father died. So she's saying her father passed away. He passed away when she was young. So my husband has kind of filled this father role for her. So he was like a father for her. For, of course, his niece, that would be. Okay, since she doesn't have a father, Mary's husband tried to be a father figure. Okay, be like a father to his niece. So I'm constantly kind of pushing him to talk to her about dating and give her some guidance. And I don't even think it's on her radar yet. Let's take a look at a few vocab words here. She says, I'm constantly kind of pushing him to talk to her. Okay, push means what? This is actually one of our vocab words for today. To push means to force. Okay, it means to force. It can also mean to urge a certain action, to urge an action. So she's saying that she was pushing him to talk about dating. Okay, pushing him to talk to her about dating. Hey, come on, talk to her about dating. Give her some advice, give her some guidance, counseling. Okay, so guidance is close to advice and counseling. So this is what she told her husband to do. Come on. She was urging him, pushing him to do this. And she says, and I don't even think it's on her radar yet. What could that mean? Radar, radar. If you say that something is on somebody's radar, boop, 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 boop. Okay, it means that the person has detected something. Something is on somebody's mind. You're thinking about it. It occurs to you. Okay? But if you say something is not on somebody's radar, this person cannot detect the signal. So this person is not thinking about it. So to make it a bit easier for you to understand, she's saying that she tried to, urge her husband, force him to talk to his niece about dating and give her some guidance, some advice, counseling. And she's saying, I don't think she was even thinking about those things. I don't think it was even on her radar yet. Okay? Now, I think in Korea, that aspect of things is a lot different. So now he's talking about the difference. Okay. Like, they don't think about the birds and the bees as being something serious within middle school, possibly even high school, until they really start getting it on their radar. So we've got some vocab words and some expressions to mark here. Here we go. The birds and the bees. They don't think about the birds and the bees. What is that expression? That is our pattern for today. It is an idiomatic expression, I guess you can say. The birds and the bees. What could that mean? The birds and the bees? The birds. Chirp, 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 chirp. And the bees. Zzz. Yes, buzz, bees. This is just a fun way of saying a general understanding of sexual intercourse and reproduction. How babies are made, things like that. Okay, and it's often used to, I guess, explain about this to children. So it's just a cute way of talking about sex. Okay, the birds and the bees, the birds and the bees. So he's using a very cute expression. They don't think about the birds and the bees. They don't think about sexual intercourse. They don't think about reproduction as being something serious. Okay, within middle school, possibly even high school. So he's saying in middle school or even high school, many Korean students don't think about the birds and the bees, okay, until they really start getting it on their radar. Once again, get it on their radar. So he's saying maybe not in middle school, maybe in high school, but definitely in college maybe, they will start to think about it. It'll be on their radar. That's when they will start thinking about these things. Obviously, certain areas of the country might be different as well. Of course, I guess. If you're growing up in the countryside, it may occur to you slower than, to students living in, I guess, a city, busy city. I don't know, but that's what he's saying. Depending on where you live, it could be a bit different. Yeah. I look at some of these middle school and high school students, so she's talking about these students, middle school, high school students, and they're studying so hard. How would it even be possible to think about what? Having a boyfriend. Is it possible to think about having a girlfriend? Well, she is saying that students study very, very hard, that having a girlfriend, having a boyfriend, simply but dating is not a possibility. They don't have time to think about those things. There is no time for anything else like that. That's right. There is no time for dating, which I suppose is a good side of things, really. Okay, I guess it could be a good side of things. Why? Because if you are a student, I guess your job is to study, right? Anyhow, bringing us to the end of the conversation. Mary says positives and negatives, meaning there are positive sides to things as well as negative sides to things. And point made, that's right. Martin says, of course. Okay, everyone, let's take a listen one more time.
I was just home for the holiday, and I saw my younger cousins growing up. They're about 15 to 18, 14, and the topic of dating came up.
Ooh.
How old were you when you started dating?
I'd have to go back through the old noodle for that one. I think it was about 14, 15 when you can say that I first started dating kind of semi-seriously.
Right, a little casual.
Yeah. When you're younger than that, you have what you class as boyfriends and girlfriends that you would look across the room, science class, and pass notes to each other.
Yeah.
But in terms of like actually going out together and doing things, yeah, I was like 14, 15 years old, which I think is quite different here in Korea.
Yeah, I have a niece who's about 14 or 15, and her father passed away when she was young. So my husband's kind of filled this father role for her.
Okay.
So I'm constantly kind of pushing him to talk to her about dating and, give her some guidance. And I don't even think it's on her radar yet.
No, I think in Korea that aspect of things is a lot different. Like they don't think about the birds and the bees as being something serious within middle school, possibly even high school, until they really start getting it on their radar. Obviously, certain areas of the country might be different as well. Like in the city centre, it's always about education and stuff like that. So they don't think about the other aspects of society life.
Yeah. I mean, I look at some of these middle school and high school students, and they're studying so hard, they're working so hard. How would it even be possible to think about having a boyfriend or girlfriend?
There's no time for anything else like that, which I suppose is a good side of things, really.
Yeah, positives and negatives.
Of course.
Here we go with actual expressions, everyone. Our first vocab word is class. As I told you, it was used in the verb form today. That's right, it means to categorize, assign, appraise, means to put in a certain group. So categorize would be a wonderful synonym. What about guidance? We're talking about advice, direction, counseling. And push, that's right, means to force or to urge. 이거 해, 저거 해, right? So push is to urge somebody. And radar, here we go. Let's practice the pronunciation 2 times. Radar, radar, sonar. Okay, we often catch a signal, okay? But we often can say that something is on somebody's radar or caught on somebody's radar. And in that case, it means to think about something, to be aware of something. Okay. The old noodle is what? To use one's head. Okay? Use the old noodle means to use one's head. I guess I have to use the old noodle today. I guess I have to use the old noodle today, meaning, well, I guess I'm going to have to think hard. I guess I'm going to have to use my head today. Got it? Moving on. Go out with someone. Go out with someone means what? Of course, to go outside with somebody physically. But when you're talking about dating or relationships, to go out with somebody means to date somebody, to be in a relationship with somebody as boyfriend and girlfriend. Here we go. How old were you when you went out with Jesse? Okay, go, went, okay? It's in the past form. How old were you when you went out with Jesse? When did you date Jesse? How old were you when you dated Jesse? Okay, and finally, the birds and the bees. Okay, this is a cute expression. A cute expression used to talk about what? The basic facts or the general facts about sexual intercourse and reproduction, often to describe to a little girl or a boy, a child. So here we go. At what age do you think is best to tell your children about the birds and the bees? Simply put, we're just saying, at what age do you think it's best to tell your children about sex? To teach them about sex, okay? To tell them all about the birds and the bees. Okay, everyone, this is a really cute expression you can make use of sometime. Make use of them and, of course, practice them more on your own.